problem. Well, welcome back to the Added Time podcast with me, Alan Myers, and my co-presenter, Tony Grant, former Everton, Burnley and Manchester City midfielder. Tony, this week's we've got all kinds to talk about on the Premier League, and we'll also have a bit later on an interview with the former Liverpool CEO, Peter Moore. Stay tuned for that one because it's a really interesting one. Of course, he was there with the Klopp years, and also he helped Wrexham's owners as well during their time taking up the club. So really interesting with Peter Moore. So we'll have that one a little bit later for you. Fielder Tony, what a weekend of football again. It never fails to impress us, does it? And we watched a couple of games ourselves over the weekend. I know. What stood out for you this weekend?
I think it's getting exciting now. I think at one stage, I think we thought, I don't know if you thought it, but I thought Arsenal were going to run away with it. And they've been slowly. I know they got a good win, and it is a good win. Playing Everton away. For anyone who wants to be champions, playing Everton away is a tough game, and they weren't convincing, but they got 3 points. But they haven't ran away with it, and there's a couple of other teams now who are really. And I think it's going to be really exciting second half of the season. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the top half in a moment, but we want to concentrate and start on the bottom end. Really, a bad defeat, but I suppose Manchester City away is not an easy game. But a bad defeat for West Ham. They're back into the relegation zone. Do you worry for them at all?
Yeah, I've always worried for West Ham, and I don't know why, but I've got a soft spot for West Ham. I've always liked West Ham. Obviously, I think the bowling ground reminds me of Goodison Park. I think the fans remind me of Evertonians in a way. Since they've moved to this new stadium, I don't know if it's got some sort of hex on them, but I just think it's going to be tough for them.
Well, when you look at Leeds and what Ellen Road gives to Leeds, especially under the lights and things like, you fancy Leeds maybe to get results at home in this second part of the season, whereas I'm not so sure West Ham have that with that London stadium.
I think playing at Goodison Park and watching Everton over many years in the Premier League have relegation fights, the support of your fans, it can't be questioned. The old-fashioned ground which you mentioned, like Ellen Road have got, it should help them. They haven't got a bad team, so there's normally about 4 or 5 teams who are fighting relegation. They'll be one of them. Are their fans going to help them? I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to West Ham fans because they're fantastic, but it's the ground. It's just it's just not like Leeds, is it?
Conducive, is it? To getting that sort of atmosphere.
I think West Ham had a bit of a bounce with the new manager, and I think he was the right manager at the right time for them. And they're still in a fight to staying up. Yeah. They're not down yet, but it is going to be. It's going to be nip and tuck till the end of the season.
There's a few down there, isn't there? I mean, one thing I think we can be pretty much certain about is Wolverhampton Wanderers probably going down, aren't they? I mean, I heard Rob Edwards on the radio, and he was talking about putting that fight in and still trying to instill in the players that while there's a chance. But I mean, 2 points at this at Christmas is.
I mean, I think I said a while ago, well, I'd like to see this dressing room when you need warriors to get on the pitch and fight. I'm not sure that dressing room's got them types of players in or that character in it. The points tally probably proves me right at the moment. Are they going to change it? Well, I think they've got too much to do. I think they're a certainty down. But what the club stands for right now, I don't actually know what Wolves stand for right now. I really don't.
I heard the players being referred to this morning on the radio as cowards. I mean, that's probably a bit too strong, isn't it?
That's a bit too strong.
Because they'll go on the pitch and they'll try and they'll do their best. And and you look at the game against Manchester United, and there's been other games where it's been quite close. And you wonder if they were to get that win, how that affects them mentally. Then
I would never call them cowards. They've lost that. Wolverhampton, it's a very all these types of cities or towns are very similar, aren't they? Yeah. Football is what has really kept them going in bleak times. Wolves is their club.
Yeah, the Wolves fans are,
and the Wolves fans are great.
They're
right?
Loud. Yeah.
What they haven't done, they haven't changed. So the Wolves fans haven't changed in the last 100 odd years. They've always it's been passed down to the kids, hasn't it? So your dad wins. That's how football is in this country. But when I say I don't understand what they are, I look at them as a team and the identity. There is no identity.
No.
And I wouldn't call them cowards, but does it really mean that much to them? They haven't got that sort of, I don't see that sort of English mentality, which I think Burnley they sort of have that.
They have,
English mentality where, you know, they'll fight out a scrappy 0-0 or a 1-1. I just don't see this Wolves team, and I think it's been in Festive the last couple of years. I think it's sort of been there.
Yeah, you've seen it coming, haven't you? It's been like a train down the track, isn't it? I mean, when you mentioned Burnley there, they got a late equaliser at Bournemouth. I know that as a fact because my ACCA, they ruined it. But it's a great point away at Bournemouth. It's a difficult place to go. Are Burnley a team that will be down there when thereabouts in the relegation zone for most of the season, and whether they can just get a few results near the end? Is that?
Yeah, I think Burnley will always be that type of team, regardless of the manager. There's always an anomaly, isn't there, where you can have a really lower team, like when Leicester won the league. Yeah. And then really since then, great days for Leicester. They've gone missing, really, haven't they? You know, so there's always a year or two where you can overachieve. Now Burnley will always be a team. I think they've built a great club because I play for them. Yeah, you know, it's a workman-like town. Yeah, it's suffered over the years. Yeah. A lot of them northern towns have suffered, and football again has been something that that we live for, and it's our talking point, isn't it? You know, Saturday you go to the pub and you go and have a talk. Burnley haven't lost their workman-like way, but apart from them, the odd 1 or 2 seasons, you are always going to fight relegation, which is fine because someone's going to fight it. It's whether you can actually have a fight in it, and I think the manager can have a fight, and I think the players or the club sort of fabric will instill a fight in them.
Yeah, Turf Moor's got that. What we talked about earlier.
They'll still be in the fight till the end of the season, but they might just stay on the coattails of 1 or 2 others. They might still go down. I hope they stay up, obviously, for obvious reasons. But I think they have got a fight, and going to Bournemouth away, and nicking that 1-1, that's a great sign for me.
It is a good point. Okay, well, let's look at the top of the table then. And I mean, it's interesting, I think, when you look at, certainly, we're going to talk about Aston Villa because, I think they've won 10 games in a row. I don't think they've done that since, I think it was 1914 since that happened.
Amazing.
And they've done it against top teams as well, Arsenal's and we saw Manchester United over the weekend. Are they, and Unai Emery, he won't have it, but are they title contenders? I mean, they're in third place, 3 points off Arsenal.
The first thing you say there, Al, is they've won 10 on the bounce in the Premier League. Now, you can ask all your subscribers and your listeners, is there any other club who's won 10? I mean, I know we mentioned before the Invincibles, didn't you? Yeah. Have they actually won 10, or were they just unbeaten in 10?
Draws,
because that's some achievement, that. And I take my hat off to Unai Emery. And I know my good friend Robbie Fowler, he speaks highly. He's always spoke highly of Unai Emery. Yeah. And I've got to take my hat off to him this year because start of the season, I looked at Aston Villa and they had a cloud over them, Yeah,
you spoke about it.
And I
they'd lost a couple of players, hadn't they? Rashford and the midfielder who went back on loan.
They lost the kid from Real Madrid, didn't they? And they had a big impact last season. And then it looked like they couldn't bring players in. Yeah. And then they started the season really slow.
Well, he spent next to nothing.
He spent no money. And do you know what? Fantastic where they are now. It's great testament to the football club.
And is that down to the manager, do you think? Do you think that, because he is I know it didn't work out for him at Arsenal, but he is a manager who's won things. He's a manager who can get a team together. Is that down to him?
Well, I think we have mentioned in the past having a bit of credit in the bank. And I think his past has got him credit where the start of the season they were quite slow out the blocks. Yeah. And as I said, they had this cloud round them. I suppose without credit in the bank, that manager could have been sacked in a way. Because the credit in the bank he's got, and because that club believe in him, you know, that they've stayed with him at that in them crucial times. They've seen what was, maybe they all seen what was going to happen. But just to win 10 on the bounce, I mean, I'm really interested. Has anyone ever done it?
Well, you can comment. I mean, I'm sure if you're watching or listening this, you know, comment in the. I'm sure we'll get told whether somebody has or not. But it does. I mean, it's hard to think of. Maybe, as you say, Manchester United when they were really sort of flying a few years ago.
City.
Maybe Manchester City
possibly,
in a couple of seasons, but 10 in a row is a lot, isn't it? Yeah. And you know, fair play to him. And of course, Morgan Rogers, fantastic. You know, done well, and is now, you know, sort of pretty much guaranteed an England spot, I would think, as well. You know, but yeah, I mean, look. Whether or not they're going to be able to challenge Arsenal, we saw Arsenal against Everton over the weekend, and I didn't feel as if, certainly not. I've seen more challenge, you know, from other teams at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Now, you could argue, I guess, and you probably will, that when you're winning games like that and you're getting over the line in games where you don't particularly play that well, is a sign of a championship winning side.
Yeah, I mean, playing, I think, start of the season, any teams who win the league. Going to places like, well, it was Goodison Park. Obviously, going to play Everton away from home is a tough place. It's a tough fixture.
Yeah. I think Arteta said that, to be fair to him.
Yeah, well, he'll know, won't he? It's always a full house at Goodison.
Goodison, no, we'll let you off, Joe. We've been there long enough, haven't we?
Yeah. It's going to play Everton's always tough. So they weren't convincing. But they got the 3 points. But I do think this title race isn't over. And it was a great 3 points by them. But City are always going to be there, aren't they? Aston Villa are doing great. Chelsea and obviously Liverpool are back on the coattails, aren't they?
Well, that was my next topic, really. Liverpool, I mean, they go to Spurs. They get a winner late on, you know, 2-1. Do you think they got over the whole Salah saga and now, I mean, and in fact, in a way, is it good that he's away from the club at the moment, so that story goes away? The manager has said that it's over and it's been dealt with. Is this where they can build, or do you still think, because there's a lot of questions defensively about them, you know, and maybe they look at the window coming up and think, okay, if Guy comes in from Crystal Palace, things can really change in that second part of the season, because you know what it's like in the Premier League. You only have to go on a run, a couple of games, and you're up there, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't think Liverpool are out the woods as performances go. I know they went to Tottenham and got a 2-1. I do think the sending off. Got a big bit of a problem with these sendings off.
A bugbear,
yeah. You know, I'm watching the game, and to be fair, at times Liverpool started off at 0-0. Liverpool playing some decent football and they're getting in, but then Tottenham are getting in as well, and it's going either way. You know, you couldn't really pick the winner at the moment. Both goalies not having that much to do, but there's some nice football getting played. And then I think he's a number 10ish type of player, I'd call it a clumsy tackle, and then it goes to TV. And I was watching it thinking, there's nothing in that. You know, in training now, you know, if you had PSR or you had video footage, VAR, you had video footage in training, everyone would be sent off in training, especially on a Tuesday day I was brought up. Tuesday was our working day, so it was get everything out the players, just work them, and there's a lot of duels, there's a lot of tackles, and you know, it is like a game, you know. And I'm watching, let's have it right. The centre half who he's tackled has walked on and got on with it. But then he gets sent off, and for me, it just totally changed the game. But yeah, it's a bugbear. I was even thinking about boxing now. Do you know him? I know I'm going off subject here a little bit now, but you know, in boxing, and you're just sparring, and you take a little jab.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, if you slow that down, well, the person receiving it, if it was on video footage, the person receiving it, all of a sudden, wherever you've been hit, that gets indented. And then perspiration comes off your face. you'd stop the boxing fight there, innit?
Yeah.
Just off a jab.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far we're going to go with all this
Yeah.
video footage.
VAR, PSR,
PSR,
MFI.
There's too much.
You know,
but anyway, going back to it, I don't think they're out the woods. Sorry for going off
No,
topic there, Al.
it was a good analogy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, just think about that next time you watch a boxing fight.
Especially
Every
when you
time,
look at Jake, whatever his name was.
yeah, your head goes back and
Yeah.
you go, oh, turn the fight off. You know, he's hurt himself there.
Yeah, I mean, there's an important point, you know, in the fact that sometimes you can have too much analysis on these things and you can look too much at them.
Well, you'll send them all off, Al.
Yeah.
Everyone will get
That's
sent
right.
off almost.
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying to get at, the slow motion makes it look a million times worse than what it actually is.
Well, I looked at the incident with Jake O'Brien in the Everton Arsenal game, and you know, I don't know what he's doing, putting his hand up in the first place. But his second hand, somebody said, "Oh, you hit it with both hands," and he hadn't. What had happened is the Arsenal player had come in and pushed his hand onto the ball. You know, it wasn't. You know, but it looks so much worse than and that's what referees are looking at, isn't it? You know, so.
But I think going back to your point there, I do think Liverpool aren't I still don't think they're playing great. I still think there's gaps there.
Yeah.
But you know, they will win games of football. And if any of the top start faltering, if they start dropping points, I'm sure Liverpool will pick points up regardless of whether they're a bit weak at the back or not.
I think the second part of the season is about momentum, isn't it, as well? And momentum's a massive thing in football, isn't it? You know, but we're coming up to the Christmas period, and you know, I look at the games, and there's games almost every other day. It feels like. What's it like as a footballer going into Christmas? I mean, does Christmas affect you as a footballer?
I don't think it really affects. I think it's, for me. I love Christmas. I mean, I love the weather. I love that there is enough games. Sometimes as a player, you want less training days and more games.
Yeah.
You know, back in our day, Al, when I started, there was only 2 subs. So you know, there was 13 players.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Now they've got bench loads. Haven't
course,
they? Obviously, the bigger clubs have got a stronger bench than other teams, but you have got a bench with 7 subs on now. So the Christmas period is brilliant because there's so many where you are in the league. So if you're fighting relegation, you've got the game. You're not waiting like someone is an international break and you've got to wait 2 weeks for the game. Yeah. At least you can put some things right.
Yeah.
And I don't get me wrong, it'll have a negative effect on some teams, but personally, I love the Christmas period. I love going to game as a fan now as well. But
you know, maybe not see. You know, if you're away on Boxing Day, you know, and you don't see your kids and whatever on. You know, I mean, I know when you were that age, you were a single lad and whatever probably. But you know, is it difficult for players at that time? Do they want to be with their families? I mean, is it, or does that not come into it?
I don't think it comes into it, Al. I mean, it shouldn't come into it.
No. Stay professional.
It shouldn't anyway, because even if you're travelling, I mean, I've been in Christmas Day to train plenty of times.
Yeah.
You still get up in the morning and see your family.
Yeah.
But then you're only out for a few hours.
Yeah.
Now, if you happen to be travelling or you're staying in a hotel, that's just part and parcel of this great job you've got. You know, what a fantastic job to be a footballer.
Yeah. That's
what we all dream of being. It should never be an issue, and it should never come up about your family time at Christmas, because you will have time. You're not going to prison where you don't see no one. Know what I mean, Al?
Yeah.
It can be a lame excuse if anyone's using it as an excuse.
Yeah. And of course, if you're at training on Christmas Day, you don't have to sort all the dinner out there and everything.
Well, that's it.
You can just arrive back home and find the lunch. But listen, let's talk about the Championship, because that's really starting to heat up again now, isn't it? And Coventry and Middlesbrough both lost at the weekend.
I think Coventry draw.
Oh, they did. They got a draw in the end. Yes, sorry. That's it. Yeah, okay. They got a draw. I was watching that, and I thought they were going to lose, to be honest.
Right,
I think, and they went down to 10 men, didn't they? Yeah. But Middlesbrough, you know, what was a bit of a surprise defeat at Bristol City. But Ipswich are coming strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
when
a team comes strong like that, are they almost a real threat to the top?
Well, you know, they were in the Premier League last year. You know, the manager's getting touted as a future maybe Man U, or someone's going to take a chance on them, aren't they? They started ever so slowly. I think there was a big change around with the team, to be honest with you. I think the starting 11 from the Premier League is so different than what it is now. But they're starting to find their feet. And I think, the top two have been up there nearly all season. To stay up there, I mean, I think Frank's done fantastic.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've got bags of goals in them. Every other game, they seem to be scoring 2, 3 or 4 goals,
They do,
So I think they've got bags of goals in them. I think Frank will keep them up there. Looking behind them, Borough have had a change of manager.
Yeah.
But they stayed in the pack. They've stayed in the fight. And I think Borough will stay in the fight. Whether they'll go up automatic, I don't know. I think it'll be hard to stop Ipswich.
I look at Middlesbrough and see a bit of inconsistency.
Possibly,
there, and I think it's been like that for a number of years now with Middlesbrough. But, you look at Ipswich, and as I say, and Portman Road again, we talked about stadium early on. It's a ground again, which, once the crowd get going, it's very difficult there, isn't it?
It's a fantastic club. Down that neck of the woods, Norwich and Ipswich, 2 great clubs.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, one's really struggling. So Norwich on the other end, they could be in League One the way they're going at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think Ipswich, I'd be very surprised if Ipswich aren't in the top 2 come the end of the season.
Okay, well, listen, we talked about luxury players, didn't we, last week? And, we had quite a few suggestions, and we I haven't got it with me at the moment, but we were going to give away the Joe Cole book. So if you'll be getting picked on that. But also our main competition is this 2 tickets to the Wolves game on January the 7th. You'll attend Hill Dickinson Stadium with myself and Tony. Tony's going to keep you amused while I go and get the teas and the coffees and the drinks. But obviously a great competition, and we're looking forward to it, aren't we?
Yeah, and just after Christmas, it's a great Christmas present, isn't it? Yeah. Come the game, with 2 Evertonians, and we'll shoot a fat over the game beforehand and see how close we are to the actual result and performance after the game. Obviously, Wolves are going to be in the bottom 3. By the time we play them, which doesn't mean it's going to be an easy game.
No.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who wins.
Well, you might be chewing the fat. I'll be chewing chicken tenders, I think. That's always my choice of food in Village Street. But listen, if you're the lucky one, we'll be drawing that out a little bit later. And we'll announce the winner on our YouTube channel and also on social media. So if you follow me on social media, we'll give details of that winner on there. But now we're going to hear from the former Liverpool CEO, Peter Moore, who talks about a lot of aspects, and of course he was there during the Klopp years as well. And Peter's been talking to me from his home in California. Well, look, Peter, listen, we really appreciate your time on the Added Time podcast here. It's great to have you on. I'm going to get straight into it, and obviously we'll skip past your career because obviously we're a football podcast, so we'll skip past the Sega and the EA Sports and the Microsoft, but you were very much involved in sort of electronics and all that sort of thing, and gaming, and so did that give you a sort of, in some way, an insight into football in that respect? I mean, I know you were a huge fan anyway, but
yeah, I think and this is where FSG, I think, got to know me in particularly my EA Sports days and the FIFA franchise, the franchise now known as EA Sports FC. And it certainly, I think, attracted them to me, of somebody that is used to running, in that instance, multi-billion-dollar operations. I was chief operating officer of EA when the first contact came in 2016 via an executive recruiter in London. Would you ever move back to England? And it was like, heck no. I remember looking out the window, the sun shining, so, but I think that was the attraction. Look, I'd never run a football club, but the football, my first game, at Anfield was 1959. My dad took me, and we played Leyton Orient and beat them 4-3. And I've bled red ever since. But I think that was a little bit of the attraction of when Ian Ayre, as you recall, had said, look, I'm done at the end of this season. Gave him a little bit of time to scour the world for his successor, and they already knew of me, that's for sure. And so after a lot of discussions, I agreed to, both my wife and I quit our jobs and moved back to Liverpool.
I guess there was no other job that you would do that for, I suppose.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you could offer me all the jobs you want. outside of the United States, and I'm not moving for anything. But this would be the one role that allowed me to feel good about quitting EA, where I've been for 10 years and had done very well. And my wife worked for Fitbit, which is the fitness watch company in San Francisco, and she was doing well. But we took the risk. Not that there's much risk, and it wasn't about money at that point in your life. It's about giving back to, in my mind, a football club that had given me so much joy over the decades, and maybe adding some value with my experience of way back when working for Reebok and then, as you point out, Sega, and then Xbox and EA. And I like to think in retrospect I was able to bring some of those learnings to the club.
And what a decision it was. And you look at some of the good times you had at the club with the trophies that were won, Champions League, and the Premier League as well, and I mean, incredible times. But what were the challenges? I mean, can I just talk about Liverpool currently at the moment, if you like? And it's been a bit of a rocky time over the last few months. I mean, which is quite unusual for Liverpool. They might have blips here and there, in their past, but to go that many times losing games, and it was very unusual. Do you think with Arne Slot, he came in last season, he won the league. Do you think there was always going to be a transition, but it wasn't sort of expected to be the second season? It was probably expected to be the first. Is that fair?
I think you're exactly right in that, you've got a great squad, which he inherited, which he always says, it couldn't have been a better situation for him to come in, a squad that was ready to challenge and then ultimately win the league. And then, to the credit of the ownership group, they had obviously figured out how to manage, what was financial fair play. Now it's profit and sustainability rules, and had a war chest ready to go, which great championship clubs should do, which is get even better, ready for the challenge of the next season. But I think when you look at it, Alan, and losing, Luis Diaz, Trent, obviously, and all of the drama that came along with that, Darwin Nunez, who, like him or love him or dislike him, created chaos and gave everything, and then you bring in Frimpong and Wirtz and Isak, from the perspective, to be able, and Etitike, and there's a bedding in period. I don't care what football club you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care what sports team you are. Is when you bring in key players who are expected to start, and that's 33% of your squad turned over, or your starting 11. There's some bedding in required. And look, first few games did okay, but if you recall, it was skin of the teeth, wins all the time, and then things started to kind of fall apart a little bit. Now, I think the good news is the ship has been stabilized somewhat, and each game, as the players get to know each other, and you start to see, let's call them veterans, step up into leadership roles. And I couldn't be more impressed with Dominic Thoberfly this year, and how he has turned into a leader. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a future captain of Liverpool right there. It's every club goes through it, but you're right, we're not used to it at Liverpool. So it's been a little bit of a shock to the system. But the last half dozen games, and thank goodness a win in San Siro, which came out of nowhere, is helping, stabilize the Champions League run. But it's been rough. And it wasn't fun the last few minutes against Spurs, where they've got 9 men and they're still attacking us, and just like, is this really happening? But no, I think that's exactly what's happened. And now you've got the absolute tragedy of what looks like a serious injury to Isak, and that puts more pressure on the squad. And so it's going to be interesting what happens in January, whether that checkbook gets dusted off once again, and whether they can bring in reinforcements. You've lost Mo to AFCON for another month or so you're a little thin up front. But I like to think at this point that they've at least righted the ship and stabilized things.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Mo, because obviously that whole thing happened with him, and in some quarters it wasn't really a shock, I don't think, but also it really destabilized everything, and the manager has said recently in the last few days that it's dealt with and it's over with. But from a CEO's perspective, does that come to your desk, as a CEO, that sort of thing? I mean, with it being such a big story?
Not during my time. Well, it certainly comes to my desk, but my job, and I may be different than Billy's role now, and certainly was different than Ian's preceding me. My job was to run the business, and
Sure.
really, Jurgen and Michael Edwards and that team would take care of player issues, quote unquote. I've said, and look, I'm just a fan now, but you look at the situation. I know Mo and have watched him for 3 years. He really doesn't use the mixed media zone. You know this,
Yes.
unless he has something to say, and he did, and I just felt, personally, again, as an outsider, 5,000 miles away, stuff like that needs to happen in the manager's office and behind closed doors. Mo is the ultimate competitor, and he does not like sitting on a bench, and he feels like he has so much to give in support of the team. And when he was benched, and then he was benched again, and then when he did not come on, obviously against Leeds, and I actually get it when Slot said, "Look, it's not a time to bring Mohamed Salah on. When time to manage the game." You could have almost predicted that there was going to be some, explosion, and there was. So that wouldn't be me, and I don't think Billy gets deeply involved in that. I think that is very much Arnie Slot, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, and probably Mike Gordon back in Boston, and that would be the group. And Billy will, get on with running the business of the football club in his role as CEO. But I think that very much, managed by Arnie, Richard Hughes, and Michael Edwards.
When that carries me nicely onto your appointment, and because the sort of business, the way the business was run was changed, wasn't it, in many ways?
Yeah.
And there was a new sort of, and of course everyone was sort of interested how that would work, and I guess you have to come to the conclusion that it did work because the success was there, and the trophies were there. And is that the way forward, do you think, for football? Because the whole dynamic of what I'm not supporting a director, but what's I can't remember the phrase now.
Sporting director,
Yeah,
director,
sporting director. Yeah, there's been some sort of, in this country in particular, because in Europe it sort of runs like clockwork, but in this country it started off really as protection for owners. That role, I think, and it's never really been sort of accepted, I don't think, that sporting director in this country. But of course, your situation was very different. You were, as you said, with the business part of the club, and other people got on with the football and the recruitment and all the rest of it. Is that the model, do you think, that football clubs should look to?
Absolutely. I think that the money is so big. The consequences are so dire if you fail. Promotion, relegation, and the specialization of talent and skill and expertise has got to be there. Coming in from video games, I'm the last guy you need getting involved with players' agents and managing players. I know how to run a business. I'm a Liverpudlian, so I know what the fan base is all about, both local and global. I followed the club since my first game in 1959, so I'm very familiar with the club from a, if you will, a fan base perspective and fan engagement perspective. I also know how to run multi-billion-dollar operations. Liverpool was the football club was the smallest business I've run in the last 30 years as regards a turnover basis. But what you're seeing, Alan, there is a little bit of reflection of American sports and the role, as it's known here, as a general manager, somebody that is focused on field, on the players, on the facilities, on the physios, on the nutrition. And then you've got your CEO, if you will, who is focused on the business and running the business. And when I arrived at Liverpool, we were going through that transition. Ian was very involved in player transfers and loans, and great. But what FSG wanted when they contacted me, they called it a skinny or a svelte CEO, which had narrower responsibilities that were more focused on the business. And so you had Jurgen reporting to FSG, you had Michael Edwards reporting to FSG, you had me, And you had Billy Hogan as the chief commercial officer reporting in to FSG. So more, if you will, an American model, but a model based on who are the people that are best suited to run these elements of the business. And it's a business. And so it worked for me. And look, when I got to Liverpool in April of 2017, my job description was like one paragraph. And it was like, run the business. And unspoken was, don't get involved in football, which seems weird for a football CEO. But and in retrospect, I looked back and I've recently finished my autobiography and looked back on how the job evolved, living in Liverpool, walking the streets every day, getting feedback from Liverpudlians wherever I happen to be. Coming out of Chapel Street and walking to exchange flags for lunchtime, I'd bump into 20 people who would not shy about giving me their feedback.
But
And
I have to say though, Peter, on that, sorry to interrupt you, but I have to say on that, as someone who was, my whole life has been in communications, and the one thing I do, and I'm gonna give you a lot of praise now, and I don't mind, but you seem to get that part of the business so right with the fans, and and of course there is an element because you're a Liverpool fan yourself, and you were from the city, and but at the same time that doesn't really sort of determine whether you're going to be successful. You have to work hard at it, as you all know. Communication now in football is very different to what it was 20, 30 years ago.
right.
So did you see that as a really sort of important part of your job, is to garner that sort of relationship with the fans?
Absolutely. We had absentee owners who lived 2,000 miles away that maybe came twice or three times a season. And look, this is Liverpool. This is no disrespect to any other club. Liverpool's different. Liverpool and Everton. The fans demand to be close to the club, to understand what's going on. They demand answers when things aren't going well. And there were plenty. Look, and one thing I learned from the get-go: there's a drama every day in running a club of one element or another. And so, in retrospect, you're exactly right. I had to figure out what I could do to add value, and it was very clear to me that community management, PR is something that is in the past now. It's managing your community and all of the stakeholders, the media, obviously the fans. And that was something that I knew well in my video game days of managing hundreds of millions of gamers who were pissed off at any given moment about everything, in a video game. But it was also controversial because I did engage with the fans. I used social media to inform them, sometimes to chastise them, and I had no issues stopping and talking to people on the streets because I lived in Liverpool and worked every day out of Chapel Street. And so in the end, I reflected on what I did, and it ended up being these 4 C's, Alan. It was about community, first of all. And I coined the phrase local heart, global pulse, because that's what we are at Liverpool. Like it or not, we're a global football club. Second was civic. First couple of weekends I was there, and I'm walking around town, and the place is thronging, right, with fans, both local and global. And I asked my team, how much money do you think we bring into the city, on an annual basis of being Liverpool? And the answer I got at first was a lot. I said, well, that's not a good enough answer. So I retained Deloitte to do a full analysis of an economic impact report. And I use that a lot with my old mate, Joe Anderson, the mayor, and, Steve Rotherham, great friend of mine still to this day. Andy Cook, the chief of police. Fortunately, 2 reds right there and a blue with Joe. And anything I needed. And I also use that data of £500 million a year we brought into, if you will, the city coffers to restaurants, hotels, Ubers, taxi drivers, all of that. And so civic responsibility was important. Third thing was culture. I had
And
to rebuild.
but with respect, they were never going to give you credit for that, really, were they? Not to a point where you could use it. So you had to do that. Yeah.
You have to use data and go, okay, I'm
Yeah.
just no. I remember it was 50 grand I spent to prove what we meant to this city. And look, I travel the world, always have done. I've been very fortunate. And somebody asked me where I'm from because my accent is so messed up. Nobody has any idea where it's from. And I go, I'm from Liverpool. First thing they'll say is football, or, be a red or a blue, or football, or the Beatles, right? And so I felt we needed to quantify that. What did we? And yeah, I used it as a weapon for. Look, we bring this much money, and you need to help me,
Yeah.
Mayor Anderson. Chief of Police Cook, Mayor Rotherham, and so it was something that I felt needed quantifying, and that was very important. And bringing the pride of Liverpool, the brand that is Liverpool, which had been sullied for decades, and still to this day. Last weekend, Everton, God bless them, feed the Scousers from the Arsenal fans. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on. And so we need to break that primarily UK view of the stigma still to this day of being a Liverpudlian. And football will do that for us.
Well, I know the work you put in with the food banks, and
Yeah.
you're honorary president, I think, or
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
One thing I will try and talk about that a little bit later. Your work within the community privately, with you and Debbie, your wife, incredible work, But so sorry, I interrupted you on your 4 C's. So I think we were up to
the next one was culture, bringing the culture. 800 full-time employees for Liverpool Football Club, locally and globally that were under my remit, that I felt we needed to get a singular culture, a singular focus of who we are and what we're about and how we serve our fan base. So town halls in the Baltic Triangle were the first thing I did in Camp and Furnace. I remember this, and this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it, because we owe it to our fans. And we're in this, and I sensed we're in this moment where Jurgen is building this squad that can take on the world. And we, as the, team behind the team, if you will, need to be ready to support him, to get this virtuous cycle of football up and running, make more money, buy better players, win more games, make more money, buy better players, win more games. And that's what we're able to do.
Well, then there's a great saying, isn't there? Culture eats strategy for breakfast, I think, is what one I heard.
Absolutely.
And so many football clubs, I think, around the world, or certainly in this country, they don't address the culture, I don't think. And you're completely right.
I wrote a manifesto out one night there in my house with 2 glasses of red wine. It's like, this is who we are. And use the words of "you'll never walk alone," and this is who we serve, and this is the Liverpool way, and this is what our fans, both locally and globally, expect from us. And so, getting that pride, and that's something that I knew very well in my previous life of EA, 9,000 employees, and Microsoft, 100,000 employees, and I became what's known as the glue employee, which is the guy that pulls things together and gets everybody focused on where we're heading. And that's what I felt my job was to do at Liverpool. And I had the time to do it because I wasn't worried about interfering with Jurgen and Michael. You guys just get on with winning football games, and we'll figure out what to do at this end. And then the final thing was commercial. Billy Hogan and his team, based out of London at that time, were doing phenomenal work, but we needed to catch up with the 2 Manchester clubs. And it's like, commercially, that virtuous cycle was helping us enormously, because all of a sudden, and you've got the charisma of your Jurgen Klopp, and, constantly wearing the training gear with AXA on, previously it was Bet Victor. And so we leveraged that enormously to build our commercial platform on a global basis, and got better quality, bigger check sponsors, and which exists to this day. So those were the 4 C's.
I think just on that final one, I think Liverpool for a number of years had been seen of a club not meeting what their potential for commerciality, and I think that was a criticism thrown at it, wasn't it? So that was a big issue, I guess, for you.
Yeah, and rightly so. And it was only when, Billy started to do, bluntly, Alan, what Manchester United had done years before, which was open up a London office to start working with the big whether you like it or not, they're all based in London, with the big local companies and the global companies. And so I always remember, in my previous life in video games with the FIFA franchise, that being invited, we had Wayne Rooney on the cover for a number of years, and being invited to Manchester United's sales office in Mayfair. And wow, you walk in there and everybody's, working the phones, working with global advertisers. And we were just not that then. And Billy coming in and professionalizing, the operation, and to the day we now you see the turnover Liverpool has, and you can credit Billy Hogan and his team in building that platform up.
What was your relationship like with Jurgen Klopp? Because it feels to me that you had a good relationship with him.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed out of his way, which is probably the best thing you could do with Jurgen. I rarely look. I went to Melwood every now and again, but very rarely went to Melwood. And you just look. You've got Jurgen there. You've got Michael Edwards there as a sporting director. His team, and you literally had enough to do yourself in Chapel Street with everything else that was going on. And I am not going to, give Jurgen any of. I would see him on game days most of the time. We would be on the flight together. We would chat. But my job was to allow him not to have to worry one iota about anything other than winning football games. And we'll take care of the rest. And I was blessed, as to have a great team. Susan Black, Andy Hughes, all of these folks that were there at Chapel Street, that were the core of our football club. And we did our job and they did their job. And I'm a big New England Patriots NFL fan, and the coach Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady, obviously, and what Belichick would say to his team, the Patriots, who were unbelievably successful in a league structure that didn't allow for dynasties because of the draft, said, do your job. Right. And that's it. And do your job. And I did my job, stayed out of Jurgen's way. He did his job. He never came to Chapel Street, never the twain shall meet. And we had this wonderful 3-year period. I never saw Liverpool lose a Premier League game in my tenure as CEO at Anfield, so it's like one of those amazing periods.
I was going to ask you next, what your special moments that you took away from the job, what were was it the Champions League? Was it winning the league? I mean, it was an odd one because of COVID, but what was the sort of highlights for you that you look back on? And
well, I certainly think that night against Barcelona, at Anfield was amazing, and I write about it in my book, in that we had gone to Barcelona and actually played well, and somehow, thanks to a Messi free kick in the dying minutes, lost 3-0. And I'm thinking, how did we lose this 3-0? And I always remember, and these are the moments you think about, not necessarily goals being scored, but conversations being had with Jose Maria Bartomeu, who was the president of Barcelona, who I was sat next to at the game. And, at the final whistle there in Barcelona, he shakes my hand and he says, I'm worried. And I go, what do you mean you're worried? You're winning 3-0. It was a time when away goals were still ounce double, as we used to say. So you just need to score 1 goal at Anfield. We need to score 5. You're worried. And I really thought he was just messing with me or trying to make me feel good, in a time when we felt really down because we played well, but man, somehow we had to then go overcome a 3-0 lead against one of the best teams in the world. And so each Champions League home game, Alan, you have a luncheon that you invite the visiting executives and the UEFA delegate to a luncheon, which I chaired. It was always at the Art School, Paul Askew's amazing restaurant there in Liverpool. And I always remember him saying, we're really worried about tonight. And I kept looking at him and chatting with him because he sat next to me. I said, I think he's just messing with me. And, one of the things that I would do before every home game, which maybe was unique to me, is in the boardroom with the restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been at Anfield there, but we have a great boardroom. And I would get on the microphone and I would welcome the visiting executives and talk a little bit about the game and welcome to Liverpool and we're looking forward to tonight. And I even said on the microphone, I said, it's going to be an amazing challenge for us. And having had lunch, the Barcelona executives are worried, and I think you're just messing with us, really. And I remember walking up to the ground and seeing Ian Byrne and Dave Kelly, fan supporting food banks, and I was bringing my groceries from the Tesco there. And I always remember Ian, and these guys well, and I always remember Ian saying, let's get an early goal, the usual thing. And Anfield takes over, and we did. And what a night. What a night. And everything about that night encapsulated the spirit of Liverpool, corner taken quickly, and Divock Origi, and look, we had no Mo. Robbo goes off at halftime. No Bobby. It really was a very seminal moment, not just in my career, but in my life, for seeing how you can overcome what seems to be the most overwhelming circumstances. And I always remember going home that night, exhausted, and watching the game over again on television, just to make sure that what I thought I had seen actually happened, and ended up going to bed at like 2 o'clock. And then, of course, off we go the next morning, because we've got to figure out how to get everybody to Champions League finals. I mean, it was one of those where, it's this endless river of work you have to do in season to get everybody going, because then on to the next thing, which is, right, let's get all the planes organized, the tickets, let's do allocations, back to Chapel Street at 8 o'clock the next morning. But what a night. What an unbelievable night.
That's football, isn't it? The big machine which just keeps eating and eating and eating, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look, we're struggling with time here, which is really annoying, because I'm really enjoying the conversation. But I want to talk about what you do now. Because, well, first of all, you went and you sort of helped the guys at Wrexham, didn't you, for a while? The Hollywood stars for a while.
Born in Liverpool, but my dad moved us. My dad had a pub on Scotty Road, and then had a pub in Garston, the Gay Cavalier, down by the airport, right, on Speak Road.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's the mid-'60s, and it was tough. And my dad had the opportunity to get his own pub. My dad always wanted his name over the door, Alan. And so Burtonwood Breweries. So the Gay Cav was a Bent's brewery, but Burtonwood came. He applied for a license, and the Red Lion in Marford, just outside of Wrexham, became available. My dad moved us there when I was 10. And I went to grammar school. I somehow passed my 11 plus, no idea how to this day. And went to grammar school there, and always wanted to be a PE teacher, and that's what I was. But I was good enough to play for Wrexham schoolboys, played at the racecourse a number of times.
Oh.
And, by sheer coincidence, I was right fullback for that team. Left fullback was Joey Jones. And so we were both the fullbacks for that Wrexham schoolboy team. And, he was a lot better than me, and went on to a great career.
Yeah, but he didn't pass his 11 plus, though. That's the only problem, isn't it?
Joey did not pass his 11 plus, so that's fine. But we had a great times there. And then, came back once my Liverpool, contract was up, came back to California. And next thing I know, Rob McElhaney's knocking on my door in Santa Barbara, and, talking about Wrexham. And we're going to buy this from the Supporters Trust. And we really think Rob, have watched this thing called Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix. And I've contacted Ryan Reynolds, who I don't know, says Rob, but we're kind of Instagram friends. And we're going to buy a football club. And everybody talks about you and bringing you back to Wrexham. And my wife, Debbie, goes, we're not going back. We've done our stint. We're not going back. But I said, Rob, I'll be an advisor. I'll help you. I know Wrexham very well. My family still lives there. It's a great football club. And you can do so much good for a town as it was then that's had such hard times. It's a mining town. It's a steelworks town. Both industries are in decline, and it needs help. And the football club is that platform that can raise the spirits. And boy, what a phenomenal job they've done. And so, I helped them enormously in the early months doing interviews back to the UK, because there was a lot of skepticism of, these Hollywood types that are going to come in, do this documentary, flip the club, walk away, never to be seen again. And I knew that wasn't the case. So I did a bunch of stuff there, worked with the university, got Wrexham in the FIFA game with my old friends at EA Sports. And, and then still to this day have very close contacts with the club and helped them enormously. So yeah, the Wrexham thing is still a big part of my life.
Brilliant. And now you're involved, I think, with a couple of clubs, and
Yeah.
one which you're sort of based in California with, and also a little bit of sort of a shareholding in Wisla Krakow. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My video game life and my football life collided there. I've been helped. When you're my age, you have an obligation to help people and give back to an industry, video games that allowed me so much to travel the world and probably allowed me to be the CEO of Liverpool Football Club. So I help a lot of young entrepreneurs think through their video game development. And in Krakow, what I call Reality Games, we're developing it, and I really hooked to the founder, and he said, "Can you fly to Krakow and or Krakow, as I've learned to pronounce it, and help me?" And I did in May. And he said, "By the way, the owner of Wisła Krakow would like to meet you and show you his stadium. He knows your background." And I said, "Sure." So one evening I go there, and I really hit it off with Yaroslav Królewski, the owner, late 30s, just a brilliant mind. And gosh, a week later, I'm an owner of the club. He granted some equity, and it's an amazing football club. As so many Eastern European, multi-generational clubs are. They're 120 years old next year, and what a history. And I really enjoy working with them, and I've got to know the fan base as I did at Liverpool and engage with them, and flew over again. In I think it was in October, and spent some time with the team and the coaching staff, and more importantly, the business staff, thinking through, we're top of the league, we're in League One, and all things being well and touching a lot of wood, we're going to get promoted back to kind of Poland's Premier League, the Ekstraklasa, next year. So there's that. And then when I came to back to California, it's Santa Barbara, USL, the league that sits, I guess, just below MLS, fly out and said, "Can you help us start from scratch, build a football club in Santa Barbara?" It's a very important part of our expansion plans. And foolishly, I said, "I'll be an engaged minority owner, and within months, I'm doing everything. I'm writing the checks, I'm building the club, I'm building the brand, and I am the founding owner of Santa Barbara Sky Football Club. And we will commence play in USL in March of 27. So feels like a long way away, but we're only 15 months away from playing and building a club from literally a clean sheet of paper and picking a name and going, all right, now let's go get a stadium. Let's build our brand. Let's go get a staff and let's get ready to play." And that's been an amazing experience. And then more recently, CF Cadiz in Spain. I got to know them actually through the Santa Barbara linkage, where they were looking at us for a relationship. And I'm on the board of directors of Nomada, which is their US arm that is funding sports and technology. So I've got to know Cadiz well. So yeah, I mean, football won't let me go. It really won't.
No, I don't know. I don't know how you've had time to do this podcast, to be fair, when listening to it. But, I hope you have the same sort of look as, well, it's not luck, but you have the same outcome as Ian Eyre, who we had on just recently, who's having a great time in Nashville. I know he's just stepping down now, but, from, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, and he's done great. Literally, again, building a club from scratch there with great ownership, building a stadium. And what a great city. And I think he arrived in Nashville at the right time. It's one of those cities that's on the rise. And my eldest daughter has recently moved there. So I was there on a flying visit to get to know Nashville. What a great city and what a fun city to be in. It's all about the music, but it's a young, vibrant city. And Ian has done a brilliant job in making Nashville not just a team that plays in MSL, but a team that's very competitive in MLS. I'm sorry. And so from that perspective, he's done a great job and stepping back, I think, into a more non-executive role.
Yeah, he did say he wasn't a country and western fan just yet, but you might see him wearing cowboy boots every now and again, which was enough for me. But listen, Ian, we ran out of time, sadly, but I just want to say, I really thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's a fantastic insight into the sort of business of football, but also the passion from being a football fan. And I know, and I have to say it, when I was I closely, linked with Everton, as you know, and
Yeah.
communications is my thing, and I was always really, really impressed with how you coped and how you dealt with everybody at Liverpool, with the spirit of Shankly and all those things. And all credit to you. And I just want to wish you and your family a very happy Christmas, and thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, Alan. Up the toffees.
Well, welcome back to the Added Time podcast, and it's that time of the show again when we invite young Claire into the studio.
I like that. A new title, Young Claire.
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep that.
Well, everyone's younger than me, so that's, and Tony, look, we've got, as he hits the microphone, I've got a load of fixtures over the holiday period, but we've got one set of fixtures really before we come back next Monday. Let's start at Nottingham Forest versus Manchester City. We talked about Man City, and they're on a good run. Forest not doing so well. Where do you see that one?
Tough one to call, Al. I think Forest are having a right fight. They're in a fight, aren't they, to stay up. I just think Haaland's on fire this season, and I just think it'll be tough. I think Forest will give a good account of themselves. I think they'll be in the game. I think it'll end, but I'm going to go with a City 2-1 win.
City 2-1, so it's like close. Claire?
I agree. No,
and I've been saying City 4s and 5s recently, haven't I?
Sixes and one episode.
Even.
Yeah.
Does any of them ever come in? No?
I don't think so.
No.
They got close in that one.
But anyway, go on.
I agree with you. I think Haaland is just on fire. He's just incredible. And I think City might overwhelm Nottingham Forest. So I am going to go with a Man City win with 3-1.
3-1, okay. Well, I can't see anything other than a City win. And I'm going to go, because you've gone 3-1, I'm going to go 3-0.
Okay.
I think Forest are not firing really this season, so that's my thinking. And next
we've got Arsenal versus Brighton and Hove Albion, a 3 p.m. kick-off.
I'll go first on this one. I think Arsenal will win this one quite comfortably. I don't think Brighton are the team that they have been over the last few years. I think they've had a bit of a tough period. They don't seem to be able to score again. I remember a few years ago when they had the guy up front who came to Everton, whose name escapes me, and they had a period where they just couldn't score goals, and it looks to me like unless Welbeck scores, nobody else does.
Yeah.
So I can see an Arsenal win there, and I can see 2-0. Who are you going for, Tom?
I'm going to go that Arsenal are in a period of the boring Arsenal win 1-0.
We'll love it.
They won 1-0 last game.
1-0 to the Arsenal.
The Arsenal one. I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal.
That was an actual phrase.
That was a phrase, yeah.
Arsenal.
Go away.
For a long time, yeah, because they just won games 1-0.
And the Arsenal as well.
The Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the Arsenal.
They were very hard to score past back in the day.
Yeah.
Under that team, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, and where are you going?
Well, I think at home Arsenal are going to dominate the game, and I am going to go for a 2-0 Arsenal win.
Okay.
Same as me, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another one, there's quite a few games with the 3 o'clock kick-off on the 27th on the Saturday. The next one, Brentford versus AFC Bournemouth.
This is a hard one, this. I'll leave this one to you, to start.
Yeah, Brentford has done better than I thought this year. I thought they'd be in the bottom 3 or 4. So they've done ever so well. Bournemouth haven't got the points I think they deserve. I think they've had a number of draws, Bournemouth, this year. But I think Bournemouth are going to go there and win. And I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Bournemouth are going to win 3-1.
Okay. This is one again who, I see.
You're not cheating there, are
no,
you,
I'm
by
not
looking
cheating,
on your
no.
phone?
No, trying to get the result for next week.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant, wouldn't
it? Insider tips.
No, I'll tell you what. I don't know with this one because Bournemouth and Brentford this season are so unpredictable.
Yeah.
They'll go and win a couple of games, and then they'll go and you see Bournemouth. I think they struggled a little bit against Burnley on the weekend. So I'm going 1-1 in this one.
Okay. Well, I think both of them, they're quite evenly matched sides.
Yeah.
They're both going to want the win, but I think Brentford might just edge it.
Oh, so one of us are going to get some points, aren't they?
There you go. So I'm going for a 2-1 win to Brentford.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's entirely possible. That's for sure. Before we go on to that, and the reason I was checking my phone was that we've forgotten the Boxing Day game with Man United against Newcastle. So I think we should have a look at that as well.
Can we take a point off Claire for not putting that on this list?
We'll have to, because she's so far ahead.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the only way we're going to get.
Cover Saturday and Sunday, so
Yeah, well,
true.
I'm
We'll let you
going.
off.
Yeah.
I can see where you're going, but I don't think we should miss it out, because it's a game which I think is really interesting. Man United at home, Newcastle coming on a good run at the moment. What's your thinking?
2-1 Newcastle.
2-1 Newcastle. She hates the Manx, doesn't she?
No, I don't. I'm
think
just
she-
doing.
No, do you know what? I'm with Newcastle. I think Newcastle, at the moment, are a team who might turn it on against the bigger clubs.
Okay.
So I think they'll go to.
Well,
Old
we've talked
Trafford.
about their midfield, haven't we? So
Yeah,
many
I
times,
mean,
you know.
if they're all fit, I'm going to go with they'll have too much of the ball in the area that matters. I think Liverpool, Man U might have more of the ball back where it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle's what they do with the ball in the right areas will hurt Man U, and I'm going to say Newcastle will win, and I will go with 3-1.
Okay,
So you're 2-1, are you?
2-1.
Well, I'm going to go with a Newcastle win, and the reason for that is because Man United are without Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
He's suspended. I think it's either injured or suspended. I can't remember. And I think it's going to be 3-2 to
Okay.
Newcastle.
Well, that'll be a good game. What day is that on Boxing
That's
Day? So
Boxing Day,
we can
yeah.
all stay in and watch that day.
We'll all be in. We'll all be sitting eating turkey sandwiches.
Turkey sandwiches.
And it'll be 0-0.
Yeah.
Hey,
Celebrations.
I'll phone you up, Al.
You name it.
I'll be celebrating because all my score predictions will come in.
Yeah. So that's that one.
Okay.
And we're down to this one now. He's going to be torn on this one, isn't he?
I was thinking that
Yeah.
this morning, to be honest
Burnley
with you.
against Everton.
Yeah, well, I like Scott Parker.
You can't say a draw, by the way. You can't sit on the fence.
Well,
and
hang
say
on. I like Scott Parker,
Okay.
and I think, as we mentioned it before, I think Burnley are going to be fighting to stay up, fighting for their lives, and I think that will be instilled through all the players and all the staff. Everton go there without Ndai, who's one of our best players.
Yeah, he's been a bright spot.
I think I
He'll
was going
still
to.
be without Dewsbury Hall, I would think.
Yeah. I think this is going to be, when you grow up and you hear the phrase defences on top,
Yeah.
I've got a feeling both defences will be on top
Okay.
and they will both be rewarded with a point.
Okay. So you're going
0-0.
0-0.
I know it's
0-0.
horrible to say it, but
That's sitting on the fence, too.
but it's not really. I just don't see many goals.
Do you know?
Yeah, so
No, it's you want a better game on the 27th, don't you? Really? But I'm torn on this one. I totally agree with you. I think you're right. But I do see Everton sneaking a 1-0
yeah,
win.
you can see a 1-0 either way, really. Can't you?
And I'm even going to name the score. A better will score.
Okay.
I think so. 1-0 to me.
You won't get an extra point for that.
No,
though,
no.
Well,
I'm fully aware.
even though obviously Everton are away from home, I do think Burnley are going to succumb to Everton.
Okay. She's
And
very kind to Everton.
I'm
isn't
always
she?
kind
Yeah,
to the
she-
Blues. I'm going for, whether it's right or not, a 2-1 win
Okay.
for Everton.
Yeah, I like that. I said 1-0, I think, didn't I?
Yeah.
Or 0-1. Liverpool Wolves, you can start with this one.
After watching them at the weekend, and obviously we've had a really good run recently, which is what we needed. But then looking at Isaac, given the injury that he had,
Well, there's some suggestion he's broken his leg.
well, there's that many reports coming out. Was it a knee injury? Was it a lower leg injury? Who knows? And hopefully he will be back. But I'm hoping with us being at home, they're on good form. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win.
I mean, it's against a team that hasn't won all
I know.
season, So
Yeah.
will they match Derby County's 11 points?
Will they get past Derby County's points?
How can they do that? From 2 points at Christmas,
I know.
It's a long way to go.
I mean, Liverpool lost to Forest not long ago, who were down there.
Yeah,
But when you watch Forest play and you watch Wolves,
two different teams.
two totally
Yeah.
night and day. If Wolves get anything at Liverpool, it will be actually worse than Forest winning 3-0
Yeah.
for Liverpool.
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
But I can't see it. I can't see Wolves getting anything.
No.
Liverpool will win this game. I think they'll win comfortably. You've took the score that I wanted, and I'm not going to copy you. So I'll go 4-0.
Oh, I like that. You'll get another Christmas card off me.
Yeah.
Go on, Al.
Well, this is an interesting one because I think it's going to be one of them where Wolves will shock Liverpool.
Oh,
hang on, in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they'll score. They'll get a chance.
Yeah, one of
and
them
they'll
ones.
score.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Liverpool will score 4.
4-1.
I see a 4-1 result there. Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't see. I think Liverpool steamrolled them, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes at Anfield, there's a bit of nervousness at the start of the game, and if a team takes a shock lead, but no, I can't see anything but a 4-1 win to Liverpool.
Well, I like them numbers, gents.
Yeah. And we're down to London, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. West Ham United versus Fulham. Another 3:00 kickoff.
Well, I'll take that over then.
It's an interesting
West Ham
one,
v Fulham, yeah. West Ham fighting for lives, but Fulham are that team who people are
You
on
never
their
know.
well, they're right on the coattails. They're going to get dragged into it, Fulham.
Yeah.
I think Fulham are a soft touch. If West Ham are going to take 3 points, I think this is the game they're going to take 3 points in.
I'll agree.
As a fan base going, I think they'll all be going the game, knowing at themselves, this is a game we sort of have to win.
Yeah.
I think West Ham will take the lead and hold on to it, but only for a 1-0 win.
1-0, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm going on this one because I think Fulham are a team who can score goals against you, and I think West Ham are a team who can concede goals. So that's the
That sounds like you're going to do Fulham to win that. Then
no, it's not. No, I think it'll be 2-2.
Right,
Go
okay.
for 2-2.
Yeah.
Are you looking at my sheet?
No,
Because that's exactly what I've put. I think it's going to be a really fast,
There you go.
quick-paced game.
Okay.
Both are going to want it, and I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
I'll be happy, to share the point with you. That's not a problem.
Got to
Or
be in
if
it
we
to
get
win
it
it
right,
out.
if we get the 2-2, it'll be 2 points each. So that's great. Okay, Chelsea, Aston Villa. Well, we've talked about this. We've talked about Villa being a bit of a, not surprise package, but the way they've come back, they've surprised everybody. They had a test recently against Arsenal, which they passed. They had a test against Manchester United, which they passed, and now they've got another test against Chelsea away, which is not easy. I know Chelsea are unpredictable, aren't they? I'm actually going for a 2-1 win for Villa.
No, are you?
Yeah,
So that would take their run to 11 games.
the
You're
11
saying?
games, yeah.
Well, I'm the opposite. I think you've won your 10.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done great, but every time I watch it, they don't look like a top team.
No, I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not convincing.
They're not convincing.
No.
So I think the bubble will be burst, and I think Chelsea will beat them 3-0.
Wow, okay.
Just put down bubble burst.
Yeah.
Well, I'm unsure. I'm going to throw a little spanner in the works.
Oh, I love
if
it.
Chelsea can steal a win, even if they are at home.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah, that's feasible, to be fair. And then we're on to Sunday, the 28th of December. Christmas is over.
The goose is getting fat.
Yeah. The turkey sandwiches are gone. We're now eating fruitcake. That's been left. Who even has fruitcake? But anyway, I've got a fruitcake off a good friend of mine and yours, Tony, who sent us a nice fruitcake. So we'll be having a piece of that and watching Sunderland against Leeds United. Claire, what are you saying on that one?
I think the home crowd may help Sunderland, but I still don't feel it'll be enough for them to get a win. So I'm going for a 2-1 Leeds win.
Okay.
2-1 Leeds win. Okay. Now, Tony, we've looked at we talked about Leeds. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 6 goals in the last 6 games.
Fantastic.
Should Everton have sold him?
It's we could have had a whole segment on Dominic, really, couldn't we, this year? He was unpredictable in his last couple of years at Everton.
Yeah.
I think on his day, he's a really, really good striker, good English striker. He was in the England squad not long ago.
Yeah.
It was his injuries, and you come to the end of a player's contract who demands a huge salary.
Yeah.
I suppose as a board, what you do you take the gamble on someone who's sort of a Premiership proven player, but you don't know.
Hasn't been scoring.
But hasn't been scoring. Been injured a lot for half the season, knowing that he's going to maybe miss half the season. Or don't get me wrong, that's the gamble you're taking. You know, what Everton done, they let him go, which is fine. But what you replace them with has to be as equal or better, and Everton sadly haven't. He's not. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, when he's fit, is miles ahead of what Everton have got. Miles ahead of them, if he's fit. You know, and that's where'd you stop and start for that? That's the $1 million question, and no one can ever answer that. But what he's doing at Leeds now is he has given them a lifeline of staying up, and I think he's going to score again.
So what are you going for there? I'm
going to go for Leeds United to win 2-1, and it'll be a winning penalty. There you go. If that all goes in, I think that's 1,000 to 1. That, but
we're adding a few little bits in today, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I can just see that.
Have you done yours?
I've done mine. Yeah.
Well, I think this is going to be a Sunderland win by 2-1. I just think that Christmas period, you know, the crowd seems to be up further. I used to love the Boxing Day games. It's sad that there's only one game on Boxing Day, because Boxing Day was great. You know, you go and all that smell of the cigars and everyone was, you know, and whiskies, and you know, and it was great. You know, but that's not sadly good. But I think, you know, the Sunday and obviously the Saturday on the 27th.
I think the Championship are all playing Boxing Day, though.
They are, yeah.
So you've got a full list.
So I'll just get boxes of cigars and go to a Championship game, But, you know, I do miss that, you know. But I think these will feel the same, and that's why I think Sunderland, you know, will be up for it in the crowd there. And then the last one, a London derby, it says here, Crystal Palace versus Tottenham Hotspur. And these are two sides who are they've just fell away, you know. It's not happening, is it?
I think Palace, for me, I think Palace have had a great season.
They have.
You know, they always sell the best players, don't they? And they're eventually going to lose the centre-half.
The centre-half guy,
They've kept hold of Mateta. Whether he stays there beyond this year, I don't know. I think Palace will beat Tottenham.
Is that Selhurst Park factor?
Yeah, definitely. The Christmas feel. I think I don't know where Tottenham are at the moment. They seem to play in fits and starts. If they don't turn up, I think you can beat them. They just haven't got it going, Tottenham. In fact, they're not far off the bottom. They're not far off getting into a relegation fight again, because they got in one last year, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they finished 17th, didn't they? So what are you going?
I'm going to go for Crystal Palace to win this game. I'm going to go for Mateta to be too much for Tottenham. I know you're getting a little bit of info out of me, right? Like a bit too much, I suppose.
No, it's never too much,
isn't it? Okay, so Mateta's to be too much for them. I think Palace will win this game 2-1.
Okay. Claire, you can take it next.
Okay, I think Tottenham might just get this one.
Okay.
But I do think Palace will cause a bit of an issue for them at the same time. I'm going with a Tottenham win 2-1.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking along the lines of Tony, because I think Tottenham are fragile.
Fragile was the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I think they're fragile. I think there's... Well, I'll add on that. There's a fragility to their play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And... But I think Selhurst Park for me is the place where you don't need to be fragile. You know, it's a really, when, you know, teams have been there many years and been bowled over by not great Crystal Palace sides, but there's just that atmosphere. And I think you're right, during that Christmas period, what we talked about before, they're all going to be up for it, you know. And I see a 3-1 win for Crystal Palace.
Wow!
So there you go. So that's the predictions, and I mean, I must talk to you, Claire, about Christmas. Are you ready for it?
I am already. Everything is done. It's quite funny because my other half keeps saying, have we got this and have we got that? And what he doesn't know, I sneakily went out and bought a separate big massive freezer and put it in the garage. So for the last month, it's been getting secretly filled with goodies.
I thought you were going to say a big massive turkey. So
that's in there
as well. You threw me there when you said freezer.
Yeah. Big massive freezer.
Do you spend it at home, do you? It's all about family?
Always at home, always about family. I'm mother hen, and I love having me 3 little chicks at home in the beds the night before, you know, on Christmas Eve.
And do you put the toys out? And I mean,
Santa does that.
Of course he does, yeah.
Santa brings the toys.
Do you get Santa to put the toys out like we did years ago, where you come, you know, the kids would come downstairs and find them at like 4 a.m? Is that...
Santa, I was going to say something, but I'm not. No, Santa arrives every Christmas Eve and empties his, you know, sacks and leaves the presents out in the living room for the children.
On, Tony, where do you put your? Where do you? How do you spend Christmas? You love the meat, don't you?
I've only got my kids are grown up a little bit now, Al. So I've only got a granddaughter.
Yeah.
So she keeps the spirit of Christmas alive.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
because it is about the kids, isn't it? I mean, it's an old cliche, isn't it? But and you know, me and my wife, I mean, my daughter's in her 30s, you know, so you've lost that sort of, you know, like we've got our grandson now, but you know, he's too young to understand what's going on, you know. So, but you're right, that spirit is there, isn't it?
The kids, you know, everything's about the kids, isn't it? And rightly so. But then my afternoon will be trying to make everyone happy by cooking them something edible.
Yeah.
Well,
that would help.
I'm not a bad cook, Al, do you know what I mean?
No. Well, listen, what I mean is, you tell me about his meat. He has this butcher that he goes to, and he gets this special meat. You know,
so
and he does all 3 different types of meat. Oh, it's quite fascinating.
What's your favourite side on your Christmas dinner?
Side?
A side? Well, I'm not a sprout fan, even though I love cabbage.
Oh.
Right?
Really?
I love cabbage. Cabbage is my favourite vegetable.
Nice
with a bit of butter on the top?
No salt for me, but I love cabbage. But I don't know, I mean, I love all food from everywhere, but roast dinner or Christmas dinner is my favourite food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I cooked one last night. So I was cooking a roast dinner last night, and I burnt a lot of stuff. Well, not a lot of stuff. I burnt all the sausages, but they were fantastic up until I just shouldn't have messed with them. Started messing with them, and
never mess with a sausage.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
I mean, I don't know how many times you've been told that, Tony.
I know. It was at a practice before.
Yeah.
I think I've got about 9 or 10 people coming to me this Christmas, so I'm lucky enough to have that many people coming, and I'll try my hardest to make them all happy. Yeah.
So you're going for cabbage as your favourite side?
A carrot and turnip.
Yeah.
I mean, carrot and turnip is that's probably my favourite side on a roast dinner.
You haven't got arthritis in your hands though, have you? Because trying to peel a turnip and then chop it is hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this might come as a shock to you, but I don't eat that good stuff, you know, turnips and carrots and all these things. I have peas.
I love peas, Al. I love peas.
We've always got to have peas at Christmas, haven't we? You know what I mean? Everyone wants peas at Christmas.
Yeah.
And do you see what I did there? Yeah. No. So
I did actually. Yeah.
But my favourite side, and I'm going to be controversial now, my favourite side on a Christmas dinner is Yorkshire pudding.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No, I love them.
Well, all my family love them, but I'm just not a fan.
My son-in-law makes his own.
Yeah, I do.
And they're massive.
He's just showing off now.
Yeah. They're massive, honestly, and they're gorgeous.
Big,
And we're going to his house, you know, for Christmas, or my daughter's house, you know, with the grandson, which we said, you know, have it yourself this year, with it being your first with your son, and they said, no, we want you there. So it's nice, you know.
That's good.
So yeah, so that's, and I love, here's the thing I love more than anything is mint sauce.
Do you?
I love mint sauce. It doesn't matter what I put it over everything.
That's taken me. I would not think you'd be a mint sauce guy.
I love mint sauce as well.
Yeah.
Not jelly. If anyone comes out with, I've seen every now and again mint jelly. What the hell is that all about?
No, it's got to be a proper sauce.
That's just mint sauce gone off.
Yeah.
But so mint sauce. So what's your favourite side?
Apricot stuffing. I make a homemade apricot stuffing.
I make that.
Do you?
Homemade apricot stuffing.
Should we have a taste test next episode?
With hazelnut.
Yes.
Or chestnut. No.
Yeah, it's the nut chestnuts. Yeah.
I don't know
Loads of shallots, garlic. Don't know why I'm doing this.
No, I don't know why you're doing it. I don't know about going to the Wolves game. We should really give 2 presents for 2 people to come round for Christmas dinner at your house.
That might happen next year.
That could happen.
I mean, my house is always open. You know me. I like to share my love. I've got a lot of love to give. You know what I mean? So I'll share. So maybe next year. Yeah, I might do that.
We'll do that. Okay.
There's every chance.
Well, listen, if you've enjoyed this festive, almost cooking expert edition of the Added Time podcast, I nearly forgot what we were called then. Please comment and tell us what your favourite side is on Christmas dinner. And when we say that, we don't mean which team, but we all hope that you have a happy Christmas, don't we? And we'll see you back here on Monday the 29th. We'll be recording, and it'll be out obviously on the Tuesday as usual. But thanks for your support and your listening over the last few months, and we'll be talking about the year in the next podcast, because obviously it's the closest to New Year, so we'll be doing that. We hope you enjoyed the interview also with Peter Moore, and we'll see you next time on the Added Time podcast.